can't believe it's taken this long to get a new Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8, and especially Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is, in my opinion, one of the best racing games to ever exist. So naturally, when they showed the brand new one at the Switch 2 reveal, I was really excited to see what they would add. So today, I'd like to talk about some new features, additions, and some exclusions we might see with the new Mario Kart. Stuff I want to see returned, stuff I don't, perhaps even some new ideas that can make it into the game. So, let's talk some Mario Kart. Currently, the name for this Mario Kart is a bit of a discussion in itself, honestly. As of right now, people are either leaning towards it being called Mario Kart 9 or 10. And while I don't mind numerical subtitles, I feel like this is kind of boring and confusing. I mean, does Nintendo consider Mario Kart Tour as the 9th entry? Do they even consider Home Circuit?
Who?
They clearly acknowledged Tour, seeing how the majority of the courses from the booster course were from Tour. If you want to be technical, this could be Mario Kart 10. Maybe they go with Mario Kart X or something. It's a decent name, but honestly, that goes from numerical to Roman numerals, so I don't really know. Personally, I think this should have a subtitle, but I'm hoping it's just not based off the console name. Mario Kart Switch 2 is not exactly that good of a name. As for what I think it could be, well, I don't know. Maybe a subtitle that references that open world-ish design with the new courses, or at least from what we see from the trailer. Or if it's a crossover game, which I'll talk about shortly, maybe something that references that. Hey, it's me from the future here. I was originally going to make a joke about how Crossworlds would be a good subtitle because the new Sonic game had that subtitle, or the new Sonic racing game. But, of course, when you take forever to make these videos, we actually saw more from Sonic Crossworlds than that really lame ass trailer they showed at the Game Awards last year. What are you doing in the car, buddy?
It should have his.
Is this a new level in your shower generation?
Oh, Sonic Racing Crossworld.
That logo kind of nice.
Oh, come
Bruh,
on.
coming soon.
Oh my god. Sonic,
Yeah, that's all you get. There will be much more to share
what
about
the
Sonic
fuck?
Racing.
Yeah, it doesn't really work anymore, does it? I actually got into the beta of that game. It was pretty fun. I like that idea of switching like tracks mid-race. I think that's a cool idea, but it was way too chaotic with the items, and I think that was like the biggest problem of that. But I'm getting off track. Just we're not here to talk about Sonic. Prior to its announcement, there were plenty of rumors and speculation that this game was going to be a crossover of a bunch of Nintendo series a la Smash Brothers. Prior to the reveal, I was kind of leaning towards this idea as well. Largely came down to the existence of the Booster Course Pass, bringing back most of the heavy hitters from every game in the series. A sort of swan song to traditional Mario Kart. And I feel like you only do that when you know the next game is going to be drastic with course selection and design, like say a crossover game. Also, it's not like we don't have those elements of crossover already. Link, the villagers, the Inklings, even stages based off properties of other Nintendo games like Excite Bike and F-Zero were all in 8. But after seeing a little footage from the new one, there are some odd choices for characters if this was a crossover. Like, why would niche characters like Pauline be in, and especially the babies? Perhaps this could be something to fill up the roster? Most people have pointed out already that there seems to be a new 24-player cap now. But then again, there's still time. Relatively, we've seen barely anything of the game. And I feel like when this game gets its proper announcement, unlike this little teaser that we got just to show off a game for the Switch 2, we'll see some crossover characters if that is the case. I feel like both 7's underwater and glider mechanics, as well as 8's anti-gravity system, should return. Anti-grav definitely won't be as prominent as 8, but I feel like the lack of anti-grav in this game would hinder the choices for 8 tracks to return in Retro Cups. It's a little thing, but I hope Purple Sparks return as well. I think you should just be able to hold the drift as long as possible, especially with the bigger course design. Speaking of drifts, perhaps the old style drifting could come back from Double Dash, or from where I know with DS. Snaking hasn't exactly returned at all since then, but maybe there's sort of an incentive to use one drifting style over another. Like maybe the older one is faster, but it takes a bit longer to build up. Say what you will about Tour, but it had some great ideas for Mario Kart, and even some great courses, even though they were stuck on the frickin' mobile game. And you know what they did? They ported those to the good one. The biggest thing from Tour, and the thing I would love to see the most, is costumes. If games like Mario Odyssey and hell, even Princess Peach Showtime taught us anything, is that Mario and cosmetics go really well together. And it seems like a perfect fit for Mario Kart. And it would be great to not spend fucking microtransactions. Now granted, they have dabbled a bit into this. In 8, you were able to scan Amiibo in for racer costumes for your Mii, but I don't want to play as the Mii. I also want to point out that Peach is not wearing her biker suit in the trailer, so I think there's more credence towards this idea. And if they were to keep the coin as an item, I think it would add an even better purpose if there was a sort of shop for costumes and such. Speaking of items, what's a Mario Kart game without the luck of the draw? Yeah, let's talk about items. Mario series has a plethora of items to pull from, even through so many installments of the series. Let's talk about some items that, if they were to return, I think need to be reworked in some way. The coin, my most hated item in Mario Kart 8. If you're any good at Mario Kart 8, then you know firsthand how annoying this item to get is. You want so desperately a banana or a green shell to protect you, but nope, you just get this stupid coin. It's not helpful. It really isn't. But of course, we can't just exactly get rid of coins. I feel like they're too much of a staple. I mean, that's like getting rid of rings in a Sonic game. So because of that, I just make coins a thing you'd collect on the course itself. Remove the slight speed boost it gives you when you reach 10, and for that matter, I think the coin cap should just be removed. The only thing coins should be used for in this game is a sort of currency for the shop that I brought up earlier, to get costumes, carts, wheels, etc. More customization. I think this serves a better purpose than what they had in 8. Currency instead of randomly making your cart go slightly faster. Bloopers need a rework, plain and simple. I think the idea of them is both annoying for both newcomers and veterans. I feel like it's just more annoying than an actual item that can get you out of the mid-tier place. Not to mention, if the levels are as wide as they seem to be now, it would come off as somewhat useless. Maybe they could do something else as an item, like perhaps spray ink on the course, and if you drove past it, that would either mess up your steering or just slip you up. Quite literally. Let's talk about bananas real quick. Enough with this spinning shit. Just bring it back to the old banana line that you had behind your cart. I thought a cool idea would be maybe you could be able to switch which formation your bananas could be in. It could either act as a rotating shield like it was in 8, or just a straight up blind. Because I swear, like half the time the bananas didn't even block anything. It was dumb. Introduced in Double Dash was the signature item. With this huge roster, I think there needs to be some incentive to play one character over the other, more than just their stats, and I think signature items should do the trick. This was also brought back in Tour, and of course not everyone would get a super specific unique item. I think characters with certain traits or similar racers will get similar unique items. We only have a glimpse of one item so far, that being this sort of wonder seed that we saw in the trailer. Most people are thinking it's either two things. A sort of wonder activation, which is speculated to be the sort of gimmick of this Mario Kart, is that it's taking parts from Wonder and adding really like trippy designs to the course, which could be interesting. Or this is a new item. People also sort of believe that it's a gas station. I mean, it is kind of in a pit stop, and you can see what kind of looks like a gas cap on Mario's Kart, but I'm conflicted on this idea. Personally, I don't want a filling up the gas mechanic in the middle of the race, at least. I think it'd be cool if like you could switch your cart mid-race or perhaps after the race to change your cart customization, depending if there's like different terrains. I mean, we even saw Rosalina have these like triangle wheels. If the Wonder Seed were to be an item, I don't know what it could do. Maybe it could add some weird wonder effect to you where it gives you like a random boost, maybe even a hindrance, kind of like the Thundercloud, where it's a sort of risk reward thing, except hopefully it's a lot better than the Thundercloud because that item sucks. Let's talk about courses. Unfortunately, whether or not this is going to be a crossover game, this is likely the hardest thing to speculate with new courses. The thing I can say with likelihood is that different types of terrain will probably be a new thing for this series. Again, going back to Rosalina's tires, perhaps we can go off-roading in a certain track. I mean, the first track they do show is the Mario Brothers sucker, and it's very deserty, like Midwestern. Very expansive, and it would be a bit boring if you could only go through one specific track. Maybe there's shortcuts that you can take with certain tires. Aside from that, The sky's the limit with the course selection, especially if we're seeing a different design with wider and more expansive courses. Retro Cups are kind of in a pickle right now. I mean, there are some big Mario Kart courses, but I don't think to the level or the scope as this one, to be perfectly honest. Saying that though, I think Mario Kart 8 will still get some good representation with the courses. Again, most of the courses came back in the Booster Course Pass. Not to mention 8 is the most recent home console Mario Kart game. If I were to choose the courses from 8, I'd say any of these would be good picks. Toad Harbor, Sunshine Airport, Electrodrome, Mount Wario, Dragon Driftway, Wild Woods, Super Bell Subway, and 8's rendition of Bowser's Castle. Probably everyone's favorite topic in a new Mario Kart is the roster. We've already had a couple of confirmed characters, or at least as confirmed as people can see. Just two quick things I want to see, one more likely than the other. I'm gonna steal this mechanic from Crash Team Racing, where you could assign a specific class to a character. What I mean is, for example, if you wanted to play high accelerated character, which is typically the lightweights, on a heavyweight character, you could just assign those stats to that. And I feel like with a possibly huge roster such as this, I think it would add more variety into the racers you want to play, but still have that gameplay preference that you, well, prefer. What I think is a little bit more likely is racers being stacked. And what I mean is, I think we all remember the discourse between like 5 different Marios in 8. I think it would be best if similar characters were just stacked into like an Echo Fighter from Smash Bros, but it's mostly cosmetic. Let's actually get into characters that I think will be part of the roster. I guess we'll start with just the characters that have already been confirmed. Mario. Shocker, I know, but his costume selection is already halfway built. I'll try to limit everyone's costumes to like 8 or something. Just because I put a limit on how many costumes someone can get doesn't mean they will get it, because some characters definitely have a lot more cosmetic potential than others. Luigi. You can't exactly have a Mario game without Luigi in it, except when you do. But in terms of costumes, it's kind of a long shot, but I think Luigi would be an interesting thing to reference from his own games. Doubtful about it, but who knows. Peach. Again, Peach has a lot of cosmetic potential thanks to Showtime, and it's thanks to that footage of Peach that kind of leans towards the idea of costumes, thanks to her wearing the dress on the bike for the first time. Bowser. Yep, King of the Koopas. Not much else to say here other than I'm wondering how gigantic Bowser's Castle is going to be in this game. I think almost instantly people noticed that DK was going back to his original arcade-like design, and personally I think it looks fine. I'm hoping for a couple other things in particular with DK's costume. I didn't really put DK Jr. on the roster. However, there is this really cool voxel, I think it's called, costume of DK Jr. in Mario Kart Tour, where he's like all 16-bit and stuff, and it looks really cool. I don't think Junior is going to get his own slot, but there is a golden opportunity to make this a cosmetic for DK. In addition, this might be a bit controversial, but I think also Funky Kong might be able to fit better as pretty much a glorified skin with a little more polish. Definitely he would keep his unique voice and animations, but I think stacking him to DK, especially when they have a similar build as characters, is probably the way to go. Daisy and Rosalina. Just talking about these two together because they'll probably also get to be in dresses such as Peach. Not much else to say again, other than I think a cool idea for a costume, unlikely, but a cool idea would be for Rosalina to have her Cosmic Guide skin from Galaxy. Then again, Tor had so many great skins for both of these princesses that it's gonna be hard to pick a bunch. Wario. It's Wario. Not much to say other than the WarioWare skin seems like a shoo-in, but I do hope they keep his classic look as the default because that's just the style I prefer. Waluigi. It's because of Waluigi's confirmation that has me thinking a little bit towards a traditional Mario Kart as opposed to a crossover game. Memes aside, the dude has basically no relevance to Mario other than these types of spin-off games, so who knows. Either way, I'm sure people are happy to see him back, if only for the memes. The babies. You know which ones I'm talking about. I'm grouping these up because, to be honest, them getting individual slots is really dumb to me. Not to mention, even in Tour, they didn't have a whole lot of cosmetic potentials. Perhaps each baby gets like an additional costume or two from Tour, but otherwise, I would want them to be grouped up to prevent a bloated roster like 8 did. Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings. The same logic applies to Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings. I feel like they need to be condensed to prevent a bloated roster. Though unlike the babies, these guys are likely not to get costumes. King Boo. I'm glad to see my boy make the cut. I think for costumes, it would mainly be different crowns that he could wear, or perhaps his design from Luigi's Mansion. Dark Moon in particular would perfect in my opinion, and I believe this was already a skin in Tour, so that's likely to return. Yoshi, Birdo, Shy Guy, Koopa Troopa, Toad, and Toadette. The last 6 confirmed characters already have the word cut out for them. I mean, Yoshi and Birdo even had color swaps already prior to this. I do hope they keep Dry Bones, but I think he would work well as a costume for Koopa Troopa. And I'm hoping that Toad and Toadette get their captain uniforms. I hope Toadsworth would be a skin. The dude's been gone for way too long at this point. I just really want to see him again. Lakitu. I think this guy gets too much hate. I think he's fine, but I would prefer in this new one that he's actually on the cloud that he's most well known for. So that's all the confirmed characters. From here on out, it's going to be a lot of predictions that are somewhat accurate. Seeing how there's likely a 24 racer cap, 48 is probably a good number to stop at. Some would argue that's a little high, but I think that gives you at least 2 options for a racer that you could pick. I'll start off with characters that have already been playable. Diddy Kong. I'm hoping for some more Kong representation. I think with DK's new design and the new park opening in Universal Studios, it's a little more apparent that Nintendo wants to put a bit more focus on the Kongs, at least for now. Where's the new country game, guys? I also think Dixie Kong, who hasn't been in a game since Wii, should be stacked alongside Diddy. King Bob-omb. I just want to see this Pringle looking king back. He was in Tour, but I think some more bigger characters are needed. That being said, I think King Bob-omb is a perfect fit for this. PD Piranha and Wiggler. 2 more DLC characters from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe have not been confirmed yet, but I would like to see them again though. Poochie. It was strange to get a new Yoshi's course in the booster pass, and I thought he was going to be a part of that wave as a new racer. I think it was a missed opportunity, but I hope he comes back in this new one, giving the semi-spin-off Yoshi some more representation. Also, it's a dog in a cart. Come on, guys. Nabbit. Mostly agreed to be one of the best things to come out of the new series. He's gotten quite the following and was even in Wonder. I think out of most of the racers I predict, I think this is the most likely. Kamek. Similar to PD Piranha and Wiggler, another DLC character from 8 Deluxe that has not been confirmed yet, but I think it's pretty likely. Charging Chuck. I think with a roster this big, it's a great time to represent some common enemies. It was such a weird choice in Tour, but after seeing the gameplay, I think Charging Chuck has a really cool design. The Bros. Hammer Brothers, Fire Bros, Ice Bros, whatever kind of bros there are. Very infamous enemies in the Mario series. They were in Tour, they're stackable, pretty standard by now. And for the last returning racer, I think Montimol would be a decent pick. Personally, I'm not that big of a fan, but he was in Tour, and I think he's gotten a bit more popularity since being in Mario Party, so who knows. From here on out, it's going to be new characters. Mario characters that have yet to be racers. Starting off with Ninji. Mario Bros. 2 USA, in particular Ninjas, I've been seeing a little love with not only being in Wonder, but also the newest Mario Party. It's a very charming enemy design, so I hope he gets a slot. Professor Egad. Yeah, he hasn't really made that many appearances, but Egad is such a memorable character from the GameCube days that even is still prominent in the Luigi's Mansion series that I think he finally should get a slot. Cranky Kong. It's crazy to think that the OG DK has not been in this series yet, but obviously I think that should change. And considering we have a bunch on the roster already, it doesn't hurt to add another one. Goomba. Likely the most iconic common enemy in the series. Yes, I know he doesn't have arms, but King Boo doesn't have legs to push the pedals, and I think Goomba would make a hilarious inclusion. Luma. Yeah, Rosalina is great, but I think the Lumas would make good small racers. Not to mention, Lumas have a bunch of costume potential, considering the variety of colors they can be. Piranha Plant. Look, if this plant guy could be in freaking Smash Brothers, I see no reason why he can't drive. That's it. Lubba. Not expecting him, huh? I think it's time to get into more of those niche characters, and I think Lubba fits that description quite well. Galaxy 2 is a personal favorite of mine, but putting my bias aside from that, I think he stands out, at least compared to any other Luma. Not to mention, this adds another Chonko racer to the roster, and I think that's cool. Captain Syrup. Super deep cut into the unfortunately forgotten Wario Land series by Nintendo, but she's got a great design, and I think some more female racers can't hurt the roster. The Bruisers. Yeah, these guys were in Odyssey, and then they just kind of never showed up again. I feel like they should come back in some form or fashion. They got good designs. I feel like it would be a waste to not bring them back. Talking Flower. Possibly the best joke character Nintendo could do. Like, imagine getting nuked with a blue shell and then he passes you up by saying, "Give it another go, huh?" Brilliant. Paper Mario. Alright, hear me out. I think it's time Mario Kart starts delving into the RPGs for a bit. And Paper Mario would likely get the biggest reaction out of anyone. Mario RPGs have definitely gotten a lot of love as of these recent years with Mario and Luigi Brothers Ship and a remake of not only Thousand Year Door, but Super Mario RPG. And if that game can come back just completely out of nowhere, perhaps Nintendo's finally willing to acknowledge a bit of their more obscure things, at least in terms of bringing it to the main series, or Mario Kart. Not to mention, Paper Mario would be the most visually distinct character of the roster. Having literally a flat character would be really cool to see. Wart. I think this dude's been in more Zelda games than Mario ones at this point. And yeah, I know Mario Bros. 2 USA is technically a dream, but I feel like this guy should return. Pokey. Honestly, this largely comes to having a soft spot for Wiggler. And Pokies have a similar design if sort of Wigglers were standing upright. Pokies have been around for a while as well. They're arguably the most well-known desert enemy in the series, so I see why not. Spike. Another common enemy that's been kind of growing on me. I feel like Spike would be a solid pick for another common enemy rep. Four-man Spike. Were it not for the movie, I wouldn't even consider this guy, to be honest, but because of that, not to mention this sort of throwback art style we've been seeing, perhaps Nintendo is kind of doing a throwback thing right now. And what's more of a throwback than what's having essentially the Mortimer Mouse of your Mario series? Baby Yoshi. I'm sure you guys are as sick as the babies as I am, but if we had to get one more, which, let's be real, Nintendo is totally going to do that shit, I would say Baby Yoshi would be my pick. I'm especially hoping that would faintly ba to the songs. I think that would be hilarious. But after this, Nintendo, please, no more babies. Pianta. Honestly, not that big of a fan of Sunshine. The Pinatas have such unique designs that I think they should get a slot. Starlo. I wanted to do at least one Pipe Dream character, and if I had to pick just one, it would have to be Starlo. I really doubt they would even do that. Heck, I even kind of doubt they'll even do like Paper Mario, but you never know. Mario and Luigi just made a comeback, so it's maybe on their minds. And finishing off anticlimactically is the Mii. Yeah, the Miis are back. Only really thing to note here is that they'll likely get the most amount of costumes. I did try to put a limit on how many costumes one can get, but I feel like if there was an abundance of costumes, it would have to be the Mii. There should be an option to where you can either scan an amiibo to get the costume that you want, or a random costume, kind of like what Mario Maker did, or use coins to buy Mii cosmetics in an in-game shop. You know, something like Tor, but without the terrible microtransactions. But let's assume this is a crossover. That roster, we'll call it roster A. If Nintendo is exclusively doing Mario characters, and assuming that isn't, here's what I'd do. I'd still say that the majority of the roster would still be Mario-centric. I mean, this is Mario Kart after all. And to compensate for a crossover element, at least to a bigger extent than what 8 Deluxe had, I think the roster would just be a little smaller than I proposed with the first roster. For the Mario reps though, real quick, because I've gone over these characters, all the confirmed characters up at this point, and for new characters or returning characters that I think will come back or be in the game, I've narrowed it down to Diddy Kong, King Bob-omb, Professor Egad, Goomba, Poochie, Nabbit, and the Mii. I tried to pick a balanced roster of different sizes and sub-series of Mario, and for those reasons I kept these characters. As for the crossover characters, this one is definitely open to literally anything. Some are more likely than others. I think just inherently some Nintendo franchises work better in the Mario universe than, say, the Zelda one. But let's get the easy ones out of the way. Characters that have already crossed over with Mario Kart in some semblance. Link. The hero of Hyrule is returning, of course, but I don't think he should be the only rep of Zelda this time around, because I think Zelda herself should be racing right beside him. Look, if the Valiant Swordman has time to go go-karting, so does the Princess of Hyrule. I'm hoping both of them have various outfits that reference a wide variety of Zelda games. Their default look is probably Tears of the Kingdom, just because that's the most recent one. The Inklings. I don't know why Splatoon just fits so well into the Mario universe, but it just does. Not much more to add to them other than maybe some more outfits, as fashion is a staple to the series. Just off the top of my head, even a color swap that references the blooper color scheme would be a nice touch, I think. The villagers from Animal Crossing. Similar to the Inklings, the villagers from Animal Crossing just need some more decorations. Like, how's the villager boys look from Smash not in 8 Deluxe? It's a very iconic look for him, and I feel like they're gonna add that. Of course, we can't bring back the villagers if we don't bring back Isabelle. She's practically Animal Crossing's mascot. It's a no-brainer. But I do have one more idea for an Animal Crossing rep. Tom Nook. If Isabelle is the modern mascot of Animal Crossing, I'd argue Tom Nook is the OG one. Everybody knows this dude. He's synonymous with the series for a good reason. And I think that's why, similar to Isabelle, he would fit well as an Animal Crossing rep. Rob. Yeah, anyone remember this? Rob was a playable character in DS, and he hasn't been in Mario Kart since then. It was such a cool and random pick for Mario Kart DS, and I see no reason why he shouldn't come back, especially if this is a crossover game. Captain Falcon. I mean, come on. 2 fantastic DLC courses from 8 Deluxe. The Blue Falcon as a kart. 8 was building up to something, I swear. And I bet at least at some point Nintendo considered him a racer. Unfortunately, he wasn't added then, but I think it would be perfect to add him now. It's one of the few dedicated racing series that Nintendo has after all, and I see no reason why Captain Falcon shouldn't be in this crossover game, if it is. A couple more crossover characters. Again, this isn't going to be as large as the first one because I feel there's only a small handful of series that I feel would fit Mario Kart the best. So continuing forward, Kirby. It's the name you should know. Kirby definitely has a good shot in being in a crossover roster, and would fit perfectly into the Mario universe, I believe. I'm hoping one day that Rosalina Smash 4 cinematic is actually a reality. Imagine how cool a Warp Star cart, or even an item would be for Kirby. And right alongside him would be King DDD, yet another king into the roster. DDD would add to an area where I think Mario Kart is lacking a little bit, the beat characters, you know. To me, DDD is as iconic of a character as Kirby in the series, and how hilarious would it be to have some of his more expressive animations that you see in the CD Smash cutscenes. Fox McCloud. It's not exactly flying, but Fox is probably the closest thing to a racer that isn't a racer. And also I think fits pretty well along this cast of crossover characters. It was that alternate ending where he became a G-Pilot in Star Fox Command or something, so it's not out of the possibility. At the very least, similar to Kirby, at least an R-Wing kart or glider I think would be pretty cool. I don't know, Nintendo just needs to show some more love to Star Fox, you know? Pac-Man.
That cherry-chasing dot muncher isn't even part of this game!
The only third-party character I think has a realistic chance. I mean, obviously, Sonic would be great, but he's getting his own racing game soon. I joked about it earlier, but it's still true. It seems random, but Pac-Man not only has been in Mario Kart Arcade GP 1 and 2, but Bandai Namco also helped with the development of Mario Kart 8. With this and Smash Brothers, it seems like Bandai and Nintendo have a good relationship together, and Pac-Man would be a nice little nod to this fact. Hell, maybe even Miss Pac-Man could be a cosmetic if the legal stuff is finally dealt with. Please keep it to his 80s design, not the stupid ghostly adventures design he has in the arcade games. God, that sucked. And yeah, that's that. Whether or not this ends up being a brand new evolution of Mario Kart, or just a new installment, I'm beyond excited to see what this game holds in store. As of right now, this is my most anticipated game of 2025, and I just wanted to talk about it, if only for a bit. There's probably plenty more speculation and ideas I didn't even touch, and I'll definitely have to do a follow-up when we get that April Direct. It's gonna be there. I will be shocked if it's not there, but I guess for now we'll just have to wait. If you guys have any ideas of who might be in it, what courses we might see, or just some new ideas that you might have, feel free to share them. I'm genuinely interested in seeing what this new Mario Kart has in store for us. This is definitely something new for the channel. I'm not becoming like video analyst slash video essayist like all the time, but it's something that I've wanted to try for a while, so I just thought this would be fun to do. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.